All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the stream. Hope y'all are having a great day, VOD viewers and all. All right. Just go ahead and hop right it back in. I've spent a little bit of time off stream terraforming the world a little bit. I've also, installed a couple mods. I got replay mod going. I've got I forget what this version is called. It's like whatever the 2 minute items thing is, just simply because I forget what all blocks are in the version of the game. I forget the crafting recipes and stuff. But aside from that, I had a little bit of a play session where I flattened out the terrain a bunch, moved everything from over there over here, expanded the farm a bit, and also I managed to get some potatoes from some zombies whilst I was collecting resources for today's stream. And so, yeah, underneath this whole plot, you can see like a stairway over there. There was like a massive amount of all sorts of resources. Like I got a bunch of granite, andesite, and diorite, and also dirt for the dirt house. And I just kind of like cleared out a whole like entire cave system down here worth of resources to build today. Got a ton of sand. So yeah. Let's make some food real quick. That just ran out. Also, I guess it's time to harvest. Let's get this done real quick. Today I'm going to get started on my starter base for this world, my first base, and it's going to be the classic dirt house. It's going to be nice and small, you know, small in scope as far as Minecraft builds go. And along the way we're going to have another rambling sesh. So that's what the series is about. I'm a little bit, I don't know, feeling a little bit off today. In like a strange way. And I have no idea why. But you know, I'm here, I'm happy to be streaming today. I just wolfed down like a whole bowl of leftover salad. So I'm ready to go today. Not quite as hyped up on coffee as normally, or as I was last time, but it is what it is. Quickly just get this done. That way it can grow while we're building today. And I've got a couple of topics lined up to talk about. So we'll get into that shortly as well. All right. Get a little bit more comfortable. Okay. Get some more torches. I think I have really kind of everything I need. I put all the resources I wanted to use for the build over here. All the dirt. There's a small amount of dirt to get started. So let's build a bit of a raised platform, why not? Actually I want to use what's it called? Coarse dirt for it, so let's go ahead and craft that real quick. This will be the platform for the build. All right. So let's go like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 45, or 43, 44, 45, 46, 47. So that's how long it's going to be. Let's make it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. So we'll go ahead and make it about this big of a plot for the build. Move our chests a little bit. Okay. All right, so the first topic today is I'm just going to talk a little bit about video game genres. And, you know, genres, they're a bit vague a lot of the time on what exactly a genre even is. You know, there'll be some genres that take their name from a specific game, and there'll be other genres that are just like general things that we've been using forever, like stuff like action games. Like there's so many different kinds of action games that can be action games, you know? There's no real like definitive action game where it's like, yes, this is exactly the way in which an action game is. And it's the only way. I really don't like how it doesn't filter between the regular dirt and coarse dirt whenever you quick move things. All right. But you know, it's not that big a deal, really. I mean, people generally get what you mean when you talk about genres at this point. We've gotten a little bit more, I guess you could say, referential when it comes to genres. Because you know what a Souls-like is going to be like. It's always going to be like a Souls game. Although that still is kind of vague, you know, is it like a Souls game because it's difficult? Is it like a Souls game because you know, it's a third person action game with like medieval combat, or what, you know? There's many ways in which a Souls game can be a Souls game. Or Souls-like, I mean. But, you know, generally I'd say that genres are decently accurate to what they are. You know, like you can tell when a Souls-like is a Souls-like. They all have a similar feel to it. So, anyways, I was just looking, like the other day, I was on Google looking up all the genres of some of my favorite games, and I realized that there's not really a defined way to tell what genre a game is, though. You know, just kind of whatever they feel like calling it in the news article is what the genre is. And a lot of times genres kind of escape what the word itself means. Like a sandbox game isn't always a sandbox like game, like a real life sandbox. Where because you know, to me, when you say sandbox game, you can give examples of what kind of game is a sandbox, but those don't fit what a sandbox is in real life. You know, a box of sand where you move around with it and use your imagination to have fun. You know, dig some sand, move it around, make castles out of it, all sorts of stuff. Put your toy truck and roll it around in the sand. And you know, Minecraft's a lot like that, where it's you have a whole lot of sand. Right now I'm placing a lot of sand in the shape of whatever I want it to be. And, you know, so Minecraft is definitely a sandbox. But, other games that are called sandboxes, I don't really know if they're sandboxes, you know? Like, Far Cry, is that a sandbox? I don't think so. I mean, the only thing that could be called sandboxy in it is that, like... Actually, I can't even think of anything that would make it a sandbox by, like how Minecraft's a sandbox. I haven't played any recent Far Cries, you know. Last one I played was 3. But, like, I remember they called it a sandbox. And, you know, it just kind of doesn't really mean anything. But, you know, it is what it is. People call things what's convenient, you know. Games that label themselves a sandbox commonly have these attributes to it. So anyways, I wrote down a couple of games to talk about genre-wise. So I feel like it's most appropriate to start off with kind of what my YouTube channel is based on. You know, Elder Scrolls games. They're definitely like... You think the term sandbox just means non-linear? Yeah, I mean, that is true, but there's other games that are non-linear that aren't classified as sandbox. Like, a Telltale game has a non-linear story, but, that's not a sandbox story, you know? Or if you have, like, I wouldn't call Elden Ring a sandbox. I'd call it an open world, you know? An open world action game is what I would classify it as personally. Not on rails, yeah. Yeah, non-linear story, yeah. But, yeah, so, like, my favorite genre, pretty much, is, well, I guess it's not really a genre, because I don't like all games in the role-playing game genre, so it's not my favorite genre. My favorite genre is really Bethesda RPGs, but, you know, let's just talk about role-playing games, you know? I'm a big fan of, specifically, like, Elder Scrolls and Fallout when it comes to RPGs. And, you know, there's a couple reasons for that. I feel like some RPGs I just cannot immerse myself in quite the same way as, like, like other RPGs. Like for example, Kingdom Come Deliverance is an RPG that a lot of people like right now, but it's like way too. I don't even know how to describe it. Sure, it's immersive, but I can't find myself immersed in it. There's a couple things in the game that just are not like fun, you know, and you know, kind of breaks my experience with the game. You know, getting to well, I mean, Kingdom Come specifically had quite an issue when it came to. I only played the first game. I didn't play the second game, but it had an issue when it came to controls because the tutorials just are not good enough for you to even understand how to play the game. Like I'd sit there trying to swing my sword, and I literally cannot figure it out, and just combat becomes impossible. And you can call it like immersive because and like Daggerfall kind of does the same thing where like you swing your blade with like a mouse movement, but you know, the execution is completely different. Where like it just becomes kind of ridiculous and hard to do. Hello, Frost Troll. Oh yeah, and hello, Sedentary Donkey. Sorry about not saying hi. So, right. Talk about let's move on from like I don't really know where I'm going with that Kingdom Come thing. So I'll just move on to my notes, what I have written down. So I wanted to talk about a lot of games that I love in like the genre that they're in. And so I wanted to start off with RPGs, specifically like Bethesda style RPGs. They don't really have a term for them because like there's other RPGs and they're not the same though. Like for example, when I tried out The Witcher, like it's nothing like Bethesda games. It's nothing like Skyrim. It's like a completely different thing all on its own. Like how do I say it? I feel like you kind of railroaded into being Geralt, and a lot of the decisions in there are just not things that I would see myself taking. I felt the same way actually playing Battlespire the other day. Yeah, it's an open world sandbox RPG, yeah. It is that, but like, and here's the thing, like, there's a lot of genres that are very similar, and a lot of genres that are not similar at all. Take like Souls-likes, which I've already talked about a little bit, Frost Troll, but whenever you hear the word Souls-like, what does that really mean? Well, what it actually means is that you've got like a stamina-based combat system. How many? 1 second, I got a inventory. And also that you've got like dodge roll. You know, it has like specifically the gameplay elements, the same gameplay elements that are in Dark Souls. You know, but that can be completely different for every game. Like there's some Dark Souls like games that are like 2D games where it's like almost a bullet hell, and you've got it's like a completely different style to it. And then there's other games that are like, they call themselves Souls-like, but they really aren't even like Souls. Like it's just, you're trying to say that you're a hard game. You're not saying that you're like Souls. You know, so I don't know, genres are kind of weird. I feel like I mean, they are kind of just like BS that people made up to sell games or to review games. Just random terms that they made up, like roguelike. No roguelike games in modern gaming are like rogue. you know, like the experience of playing Rogue and playing a roguelike in modern games is completely different. So I don't know, genres, they're kind of strange. But so I'm not, but you know, the conversation isn't about how bad genres are as a categorization system. Just kind of talking about like the genres that I prefer whenever it comes to video games. So obviously a role-playing game is one of them, but of course there's a lot of role-playing games that I really don't like. So when I describe the role-playing game I like, I'm talking about specifically Bethesda style ones. Bethesda style ones. And that includes games that aren't Bethesda games, you know. I'd say Cyberpunk kind of fits in that category. I kind of like Cyberpunk. I've played a little bit of it. I'm blustering today. I played a little bit of it, and you know, I think it kind of fits in that category. But you know, to like the examples, like just Fallout 3, you know, New Vegas 4, you know, all the Elder Scrolls games, Arena, Daggerfall, Skyrim, Morrowind, Oblivion. Those are the kind of RPG games that I enjoy the most, because I feel like they're the most I don't know how to say it, like they're the most immersive ones. Because like whenever I have to, it sounds kind of weird, but whenever I have to play a role in a role-playing game that I didn't make, like it doesn't feel like I don't feel as immersed in it, because I'm not actually influencing the world in a way I would want to, necessarily. Open world Baldur's Gate 3, yeah. I don't really know about Baldur's Gate 3, I'm not gonna lie. I haven't played it, and I haven't really watched people play it. Because, you know, I feel like that kind of game, I don't want to be spoiled towards. Well, you know, at this point it's getting to be that I probably won't ever play it anyways, unless I watch someone else play it first and think I'll like playing it. But anyways, but I want to kind of like focus on like why I like Bethesda style RPGs specifically. And so whenever I'm playing, you know, I haven't played a lot of different RPGs that everyone says are like the best RPGs, you know. I've played like The Witcher 1, and that's the only one I can really think of. So I mean, that's my only reference point to talk about why I prefer Bethesda over it. So I guess maybe I'm just like a, you know, caveman mode. I only prefer what I know. But I think the biggest thing that makes role-playing games immersive is player agency, you know? And technically, other RPGs give you more agency than Bethesda games, but they don't give you the same kind of agency, you know? Like, sure, you can have a lot of dialogue options, you can have a lot of, you know, different build options and all this other stuff, but it's not quite the same feeling to it that a Bethesda-style RPG will give you. And, like, that's really what I want. Like, I played Avowed. That was not a Bethesda game. That was not a Bethesda-style RPG. That was trying to dress itself as one. And, you know, there's a couple reasons for that. And one of the biggest reasons for that is that while you are given a lot of choice, you aren't really given a lot of, like, choice when it comes gameplay-wise. Like, you can't, like, attack other people for example, if you want to, in Avowed. Let me start building this one. Is that about half, do you think? Yeah. And so like you can technically do this, but sorry, you can technically have more player choice because, you know, you're given like 3 more options in the dialogue tree than you are in Skyrim. But it's not quite the same agency feeling that you get from Skyrim, if that makes sense. Skyrim is like, I guess it might be like more apt to describe it as like a grand feeling towards it. Like you technically have more choice in Baldur's Gate 3, you know? But is it the same kind of choice that you have in a Bethesda game? Where it's like you can like randomly find NPCs. Okay, sorry, no, I'm talking about out my ass when it comes to Baldur's Gate 3. I don't know, I've just never played another RPG, in quote, RPG, that was as good as a Bethesda game RPG. Personally. And there's been like, I have played a lot of RPGs, I just can't think of them off the top of my head because I've forgotten about them. They don't stick in my mind like Bethesda ones do. I mean, Avowed does, but for the wrong reasons. What you like about Baldur's Gate 3 is that it feels like a modern Skyrim. Make a character, choose your followers, and you can kill anyone and steal anything you want. Yeah, but I feel like Baldur's Gate 3, I feel like it's going to be, like, if I play it, it's going to be too tied down to specifically the D&D rule set. And, you know, it makes sense because it's a D&D game. But I don't think the fun of D&D comes from its rules. It comes from the, you know, friends with you that you're experiencing the game with. And, if anything, I mean, I guess I'm not very, like, well-versed in D&D, let's be honest, because when I played D&D, it was 4th edition, and that's widely regarded as the worst edition to play. Skyrim's tied down by the rules of Nirn. I mean, yeah. But, like, the rules of Nirn are a lot more flexible to whatever the vision of the game is than D&D's rules. Like, and again, I haven't seen Baldur's Gate 3, you know? So I could be completely wrong, and I'm fine with that. But, you know, this is just my viewpoint of not having played it, and based on what I would think of how it would play out, is that, you know, tabletop rules are not necessarily as good as whenever you can make whatever decision you want for the game, you know, and people, of course, you know, you can prefer it, and, you know, I'm not saying that it's absolutely bad to have this rule set, but you know, tabletop rules are kind of like built for tabletop play, and then whenever you put it in a video game, it's gonna be like it's gonna feel like a tabletop game, you know. And I don't know if that's necessarily the experience I want in my RPG, in my game, because, you know, and I feel this kind of a little bit when I'm playing Morrowind and Daggerfall, with like the dice rolls, where like you just can't hit your enemy and stuff like that, or I don't really know how to describe like the feeling, the difference between like tabletop rules and video game, where you can just assign it however you want. And also, there's totally awful garbage video game designs as well. So this is actually kind of an issue. I need to take away the outside dirt and replace it with regular dirt, not coarse. Because I wanna leverage everything that comes with dirt. You know, I want to leverage the grass. I'm using coarse dirt here, making a nice starter base. Yeah, dirty dirt. And so I don't know. It's like all this entire conversation is gonna be basically vibes. You know, the feeling of playing the game. When it comes to feelings, it's hard to express them. You know, at least as a guy. You know, women are more versed in expressing their feelings than I am. So, dirty dirt on the outskirt. I like your rhymes. So I wrote down, you know, I love role-playing games. Elder Scrolls Fallout are the biggest examples of ones that I play. And the reasons I wrote down, this is like, I don't know, I was just ran this down while I was harvesting all these resources for this house. You know, I love player agencies in games, and open world games are great. And so, like, player agency, you know, you can technically have more player agency in other role-playing games, but there's just something about the way in which they're written that is not as satisfying to me as Bethesda's style. And I felt this way when I was playing, like, for example, Avowed and other games. I should have wrote down examples of ones I don't like. That would have made this easier. You know, actually, another example of a similar style of gameplay, sort of, but it's not open world. But, you know, it's a similar style of gameplay where the Fable, you know, that I like Fable, but it's not Bethesda. It's not Bethesda style. So, and you know, this is another thing. Your character's unvoiced. That's another thing. They're unvoiced in both games. I don't know. Voice protagonists can feel completely done wrong, and you know they do that in Fallout 4, but it's still enjoyable as a game. But yeah, a Fable. Let's talk about Fable when it comes to player agency. Fable definitely prides itself on player agency. You know? And when it comes to player agency in Fable, though, it's got a similar limited choices as Skyrim does, as Bethesda games do. And I feel like, you know, there's a certain sort of magic whenever you have choice, but it's also a little bit limited. But it's not limited in the same way as, you know, The Witcher does. Because, like, in The Witcher, here's how it works in The Witcher. You'll walk up to like a barkeep, and you'll talk to him, and you'll have, like, 3 dialogue options. And it basically resorts to the same thing as in Fallout 4, which, like, you can either agree, you can barter, or you can disagree. There's not really sarcasm. And I'm talking about Witcher 1. And like those are your options. And then you can choose to continue with those options. But in comparison, you know, Elder Scrolls gives you one option. And you can say that that is, you know, less choice. You're not actually choosing. Okay, yeah, I really need to think about how I'm doing this. I think I'm just going to do this and get dirt to spread on it. This is much more difficult whenever you don't have enchantments like Silk Touch. So like player choice, I don't know. I feel like in role playing games, sometimes the way in which the writers go about making your choices is strange and kind of like disruptive. And another game that does that is Fallout 2 does that. And Fallout does a couple times. Is that coarse dirt? Where like it's worded in such a way that it's like a joke that you have to kind of understand the thing. You kind of have to like get the reference sometimes in games. Player agency, I don't know. Sometimes like the way in which agency is given to you in video games does not feel satisfying. Is kind of what I'm trying to get at. It's like sure you have a lot of options, but sometimes I really don't want to take the options given to me in games. In Fable, you are given agency, sort of, but it's in a limited way, kind of similar to how Bethesda games don't give you as much agency as like a Witcher game will in quests. Because like quest lines are a lot more extensive, you might say, in Witcher games. Quest lines are a lot more extensive probably in Baldur's Gate 3 than they are in Skyrim. And but sometimes just like the quests themselves are not quite it, Chief, if that makes sense. I don't know, the only thing I've seen of Baldur's Gate 3 is the romance option with like the animal. And so it kind of in my mind, that's the kind of game that it is. I don't know if that's just slander. Probably is, but want to wait for this to grow. I kind of wish I had Silk Touch, man. Let's go get I don't actually have enough books, huh? I don't have the stuff to make books. Harvest this. Let's just move on, because I feel like I'm not iterating my thoughts properly right now about this. It's kind of upsetting. I hate when that happens. So you ever have that happen to you? Where it's like, I want to say something, but I can't say it in the way in which I want to express it right now. I'm just not in the right headspace to. Oh, that's the wrong chest. Let's just talk about escapism. Let's stop talking about how other games are bad. I don't know why I started talking about that. I wanted to talk about why Bethesda games are my favorite kind of RPGs. That's just kind of that. I think that's where I've messed up today. So, and of course I'm kind of preaching to the choir here with Frost Troll, but Bethesda games are just so like heavily immersive. It's actually insane how like no other game has kind of gotten the same kind of thing right, at least for me. I can't say for Frost Troll whether or not other games are as immersive, but I will say that I've never found games as immersive, and like I've never been able to get into other RPGs than as well as in Elder Scrolls. And I think there's a couple of reasons for that. And obviously one of them is Elder Scrolls RPGs are kind of like an easy experience. If that makes sense. They're like an easier experience compared to other RPGs Because, like, I feel like in order to start having fun in The Witcher, which I've played The Witcher for about, like, I played it for about 16 hours, and I never even got into any of the good stuff. And so I feel like to play The Witcher properly, you have to just put so much time into it. But compared to that, Elder Scrolls, you know, you kind of get into the fun immediately. I want to have basically like a layer of 2, and then there's going to be like a coarse dirt frame, and then we go back, we back up, into like one step and then one more, and this we go up like so. So we want 1, 2, 3. And then I want another grass layer right here. Is what I want. So it'll be like this. Hold on, is that the middle? That's the middle. Okay, so I want to do that at another place, but because this is going to be the door. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can't find myself enjoying other RPGs for some reason or other. And I don't really understand why most of the time. But I just kind of can't get into them. There's just something about them that's weirdly different compared to Bethesda style RPGs. And you know, maybe I actually don't like the RPG genre. Maybe that's what it is. And I just like Bethesda games. That could entirely be the case. In which case, I'm just, I don't know, I'm a hateful man, I guess, when it comes to RPGs. I also just, I don't know, I can't find myself as immersed in other games compared to the Elder Scrolls. I don't know why right now I'm like hard focusing on why Elder Scrolls is better than every other game. I just said, yeah, discerning, yeah. I guess I'm in a discerning mindset right now. Now, I'll tell you why actually. It's because I just got off of like watching a bunch of videos that were kind of complainy videos. So I guess I'm in that headspace right now. And I apologize for that. I kind of want to keep an open mind most of the time, but I'm failing today. Let me go sleep before a creeper comes up. Yeah, I got a couple mods installed, by the way. For those of you who missed my explanation earlier, I installed whatever the equivalent of too many items is, because I always forget crafting recipes and what's in the game at the moment, because I version hop quite a lot. So yeah, this is every block in the game. I also installed Optifine, so I have the zoom. Look at those creeps over there. And I also installed like a resource pack to remove the armor over top of my beautiful skin. Sorry, I'm like burping. I just like wolfed down yesterday's yesterday's salad before stream started. All right. Yeah, so, all right, right now I'm supposed to be talking about why I love our role-playing games, and specifically the Bethesda ones. Okay, so, I've already said that Skyrim is like my childhood game, pretty much. And, you know, it probably played a heavy part in my preferences, in my forming of preferences when it comes to video games. As you can probably tell, because I don't know, I'm just not I'm not impressed whenever I play an RPG that isn't like a Bethesda RPG. Like for example, I tried to play The Outer Worlds, and it just wasn't quite the same, even though everyone online was like hyping it up as like a Bethesda killer, you know? You know, there's a couple things off about it. I kind of feel the same way whenever I'm playing like, I don't know, people probably hate me online for this whenever they hear this take, but I feel the same way whenever I'm playing New Vegas. It's got like that, there's a certain kind of like cadence that RPG games have to them in their writing style. Like you can tell that this was written by somebody who is a role-playing game designer. And, you know, I don't know if you've ever noticed that before. It's almost like, sort of like, the inflection, like the voice of the character whenever you, like it's in writing, kind of feels like this character doesn't live their life. Does that make sense? It's like whenever you're reading a book by like when you're reading why am I blanking on his name? Who's the author of Lord of the Rings? Whenever you're reading Lord of the Rings versus whenever you're reading like a modern fantasy book, the diction that the characters use and like all sorts of things is completely like different in like sort of a unbelievable way. Like I don't believe that this character is realistic, you know. This is kind of like a thing. So but I don't feel that way for some reason in Elder Scrolls. I guess maybe it's just simply because the character's just so shallow, and it's probably also familiarity is probably the main reason for this. And you know, this isn't really a problem. This is just something I'm nitpicking, and that I do nitpick whenever I play these games. And there's just something about Bethesda-style RPGs that always have me coming back to them. And so if you're listening to this and you never played a Bethesda-style RPG, you know, don't listen to me. Go play it yourself. And you know, if you don't agree with my opinion, then you know, disregard it. Of course, I'm just some idiot on the internet, right? Talking about whatever. And you know, right now I'm just saying random things that I'm thinking about. That's what Minecraft Rambling is about. It's about rambling while I do stuff in game. Right now we're building a dirt house, building a starter base, waiting for grass to grow. It's very fun. So yeah, those are my role playing games, or Elder Scrolls and Fallout. Elder Scrolls, there's like a certain magic that you feel after playing Elder Scrolls for a while. When you first play Elder Scrolls, there's sort of like there's like a moment where you're like, this game is dragging on with its intro. Like you feel that way with the cart ride into Skyrim. You feel that way with the long Census and Excise office encounter. You feel that way whenever you're in the prison cell in Oblivion. And you feel that way whenever you're trying to make your first character in Daggerfall. You know, all these experiences are kind of boring and slow-paced, which, you know, a lot of people are looking for that in their games, which, you know, no hate to you if you are. But I'd say more people just want to hop in the game. At least people my age. And they want to get started. And like that's not really a role-playing game crowd, you know. But then directly after this like boring introduction, you get into the world. There comes a moment whenever you leave whatever limited area you were in, and there's like this lens flare as you see the sun, and like the whole thing opens up, and you know, there's a certain flair that the game has in this moment where it's like unveiling the openness of the world. You can climb that mountain in the distance. You can go there, you could climb it. And that moment, that feeling kind of never leaves from that moment on. It's like a constant stream of discovery that you get whenever you play these games. And you know, I've not really had that feeling with other RPGs, and that's definitely something unique to Bethesda. I don't think you can find it anywhere else. Let's get this going. And yeah. And of course, Fallout, you know, that's kind of where it started with the lens flare thing. You know, Fallout 3 was, I think that was the first game that really paid the most attention to it, and like every game had to do it afterwards. You know, to like a lesser effect. Like, you know, the difference between when you leave Vault 101 in Fallout 3 versus when you leave Doc Mitchell's office in Fallout New Vegas is, I don't know, it just kind of feels a little bit forced in that game, where you're like sure, maybe in real life you would have that lens flare moment like that, but you just, you walk out of a room and you walk out of a house, and then all of a sudden, like, you see this in your face, and it like glares in your eyes, and then the music starts playing. It's like, doesn't feel as earned as it does in Fallout 3. And Fallout 4 kind of does the same thing, but only after, like, both Fallout 3 and 4 only do it after like a long dungeon. I've been going for an hour? Holy cow. Alright. So anyways, another RPG, or I mean another genre that I really enjoy, and you know, you wouldn't believe it based on how much complaining I did with RPGs. I do enjoy the games. I just got a lot of nitpicking to do. I don't know. I guess I'm at that moment right now where I'm like picky. So another, you know, I'm also a fan of shorter experiences with like the action adventure genre. And, you know, you also see this on my channel with like Thief And I guess Metal Gear Solid's kind of like that too. It's definitely an action. I don't know if it's adventure. So in this genre, you'll have like a bunch of shorter experiences that you can complete in like maybe you can complete some of these games you can complete in like only like 1 or 2 nights of gameplay, you know, just if you really like sit down and play them, you know. I kind of felt that way about or I mean I played about that amount of time with like the Batman Arkham games, for example. You know, I sat down, played them, and got through the whole game in like 2 sessions. If you really like devote yourself one entire day for it. Or like Metal Gear Solid, you can totally beat that game really quickly. With minimal effort. And you know, another game that kind of I've really enjoyed that falls into that category is Alan Wake. So that's more of like a horror kind of experience as well. But yeah, I really like that genre as well because that shorter experience, you know, it kind of leads itself. It lends itself to like whenever you have either a busier schedule or you just don't have the attention span, which, you know, I have ADHD, so that's probably one of the bigger reasons why I enjoy them, because I can actually complete them without getting burnt out. Because, you know, a lot of these games also, like, they're all short, you know? And there's some that are long, but, you know, I don't know about those. And then another reason why they're great is because, you know, that short kind of window of time to play them means you can play a whole lot of them. Which, you know, that the shorter playtime means you get to play a lot more of them than you do if you play only RPGs. Like, if I want to play one game for a long time, I get an RPG. But if I want to play, like, a shorter experience where I get to have, you know, maybe more unique play styles in it, you know, you get to experience more unique mechanics in these games, which is pretty fun. To be able to experiment with things. Because, like, you know, that's kind of what play is, you know, experimenting with things. And also, I never really play an action game, and I feel like I have to play it for a long time. You know, I feel like I can pick it up and put it down. And, you know, it's not really that big of a deal. And then also, 3D platformers, which, you know, they're kind of like a dying breed at this point. And, you know, games I wrote down that are 3D platformers I like include, you know, Banjo-Kazooie, Spyro. That's like the original trilogy is like that. I haven't played other ones, but I haven't played the past, like, Spyro 3 and before Legend of Spyro, so. And then also, you know, Psychonauts kind of fits into, like, a 3D platformer. It's like a collectathon thing. And, you know, all these games are kind of like shorter experiences, but they don't miss out on story. In fact, I think they have stronger stories than a lot of RPGs have, because they're simpler and they're more like focused, you might say. And then also, of course, I'm a big fan of Souls games. Not necessarily Souls-likes. There's a couple Souls-likes that I enjoy, but I've not played a FromSoft game that I haven't enjoyed, so just put it that way. When it comes to Souls likes, the reason, or just Souls games, I guess, because you know, Dark Souls isn't a Souls like, it is Dark Souls. You know, I haven't really played all of them. I've played my first Souls game was actually Dark Souls 2. Which I have not completed. Because you know, we already know why I didn't complete it. But then I kind of like put it down for a while. I played it in like high school, and then, but only for like a little bit, and then I put it down for a long time, and I didn't get back into Souls games until Elden Ring, really. And that's when I really like got lost in the sauce, as you might say. I need to go a bit further. And like from that moment on, I was just like in a Dark Souls mood. Cause like the games, here's how the Dark Souls experience is. You boot up the game for the first time. You watch the cinematic. You play the tutorial. And then you reach the tutorial boss. And the tutorial boss is like almost impossible for you to beat. And there's no way you can possibly kill him as a first timer. And then you just get absolutely clobbered. Like you just lose immediately. You like get one shot or whatever by like the asylum demon or whatever the boss is. And then you get really upset. And either it's a situation where you have to beat him, in which case you get so upset that you quit the game, or it's a situation where you get sent to you know, the rest of the game, and then you come across another hurdle, which makes you quit the game. But either way, I think I've seen through other people's testimonies online that pretty much every Souls player, at some point or another, rage quit the game. Most of them on their first time playing. I was definitely one of those. But then, after time passes and, you know, maybe you never play the game again, but those that do come back and play the game, you know, there's like this sort of coming to Jesus moment where it's like, oh, I understand. The entire point of the game is going through a lot of difficulty just to come out the other side with a victory, and that feeling of accomplishment. And there's not a lot of other games that really provide that for you. Even Souls-like games kind of fail to provide that for you. Sometimes. Well, kind of a lot of the time. Because they, like, I don't know, FromSoft just has like the formula perfect for that exact feeling. And aside from like the rush of achievement whenever you beat a boss in Dark Souls, there's also like a sense of discovery in Dark Souls as well, because you know, the community, all the knowledge about the game comes from experimentation from the community. Like when you go on a wiki, none of it is none of that information was gathered because, you know, the game tells you any of it. It was all gathered by people actually experimenting. Some people like dedicate basically their lives to documenting the game. It's kind of crazy. There's a couple good YouTubers on that, like what's his name? Why'd I forget as soon as I was about to say it? Just look it up. You know what? Okay. Did I never put it out of? Wait. Okay, never mind. That gave me a freak out just now. I I looked on my browser and it said that I was still in the starting soon. That would explain why no one's interacting. And you have messages outside of fog doors like try fire. Yeah, there's also a sense of, I don't know, it's weird because I don't really know other games that do this where it's a single player experience, but everyone else gets to contribute to yours through leftover messages. That's kind of cool, isn't it? Like, just thinking about that now. Well, oftentimes it actually ends out being a message that says try finger butthole. And then you just don't know what to do anymore. Yeah. And so another thing I wanted to talk about, aside from, like, you know, just games that I like, and, you know, this is kind of, ouch, this is kind of continuing from Dark Souls, is difficulty in games. You know, you're embarrassed to admit that you jumped more than once to goofy troll messages in Dark Souls 3. Like, you jumped off of cliffs. Yeah, those are always funny. Dragon's Dogma has shared custom troops despite being single player. Dragon's Dogma, huh? Yeah, so difficulty in games. A lot of people, especially after Dark Souls got popular, they kind of made difficulty in games something like elitist. Where it's like you have to get good at a game. You can't, like, play the easy mode or else you get called out for being, you know, awful. Which is kind of crazy to me that, you know, this kind of thing happens, because just a couple years ago, people were calling games way too hard and, you know, giving them bad review scores and such for them. Okay, I want to get started on this side. This is kind of upsetting that we have to do this. I probably should have, oh well, should have done this a little different. Let me just get started on this then. So what I want to do is have, like, one more layer, which will go around like this. And then, how much is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it'll go up like that, and it's going to be like a 2-story building. And have, like, these alcoves, and we'll add more structural blocks to it, like wood, to make it more defined. shape to it. I need to get these going. I've really forgot how awful trying to get grass up is. Okay, difficulty in games. Let me adjust difficulty in games. Yes. So aside from like the weirdo online elitism that you get attacked with as soon as you mention this topic, you know, games have gotten kind of strange about difficulty, where like after Dark Souls hit, every game wants to kind of fill that niche, so that's why Souls-likes are so popular. But then there's also games that are like strangely, I don't even know how to describe it. They're just like way too easy for what they are. Like, I feel like it would be so much more fun if it was a little bit more difficult. So I guess it's like a balancing act that a lot of developers just fail to get it right. Which, you know, it's kind of hard to appeal to people. You know, doesn't matter how much time you spent making your video game. People only play it if they want to. And so yeah. But let's go ahead and start with my notes over here on what exactly difficulty is. Difficulty is, of course, the challenge that the game presents to you. And the interaction is basically what level does the player have to... What level of engagement does the player have to reach in order to defeat the challenge and continue the game? And if you have like different ways in which difficulty is implemented. And you know, a good one to just start off the conversation is difficulty sliders, because I know a lot about them, being a Bethesda boy. So difficulty sliders are basically like, you literally have a slider that you turn it right to make it more difficult, left to make it easier, right? And a lot of games use it as a crutch. And you know, this is most predominantly done in Bethesda games, with like, you know, Morrowind kind of introduced it, and then Oblivion had it, and Skyrim had it, but it was like from Skyrim and Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 4, instead of being like a slider, it was like a bunch of settings that were preset. So I guess it would be like, it's actually kind of better for the presets, where it's like, what is it, in Skyrim it's easy, where it's like novice is easy, and you know, it's like novice, adept, all sorts of things like that. And then I think actually my favorite one is probably actually the sliders, because you just get so much more control out of it, where it's not like preset. But regardless, you know, that's like one of the main ways in which difficulty is changed. And when it comes to sliders, basically all you're not changing the actual interaction that enemies will do, not changing their movesets or anything. You're just changing how much damage they do, which is it can be effective, but at times it's just kind of annoying on higher difficulties. Like enemies will just out damage you. You won't be able to do enough damage to defeat them. But that's not really a fault of the difficulty slider. You know, it's just Well, I mean, it is a fault of the difficulty slider, but what I mean is, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just the implementation of it is kind of poor. You know, you could totally make it to where enemies change their move sets on each difficulty setting. You know, it'd be so cool if like instead of just doing more damage, you had like you did more damage and also you were more aggressive on like master difficulty, for example. Ouch. And then of course, like, you know, some games, the difficulty slider actually, is so well balanced that, like, you can't imagine the game without it. I feel that way about Fallout 3. Because, you know, obviously on higher difficulties, you have, you get more experience. And it makes what a lot of old shooters did was tie enemy accuracy, yeah, to difficulty. Yeah. And, you know, you see this in some, like, Starfield, for example. What the heck? Did you see what? Okay, I accidentally just, climbed a wall. Interesting. But Bugva, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I would have been dead in that bug on Bug Rock, so. What were we talking about? Oh yeah. So shooters did, they tied enemy accuracy to difficulty. Yeah. And it would be awesome if that happened in Bethesda games too. Obviously it's probably not going to happen, you know. Why fix it when it works right now? And it does just work. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I don't think any Bethesda game is actually difficult, even on very hard difficulty. Cause like, you know, I don't know. I've been playing very hard on like on these games for quite a long time. Like, Fallout 3 was like one of my favorite shooters for quite a while, and I would only ever play that game on very hard. And this is me when I was like 10 years old, so I was like really bad at the game, and I could still completely manage it. The only game where I think difficulty really like makes the game impossible to play is like Oblivion. But Oblivion's is it like it's hard not because of the difficulty slider or anything. It's just because the game's design is kind of bad, where like enemies will infinitely scale with you, and it's really ridiculous. And you know that this is really apparent in like Oblivion Remaster. Cause like, I don't know if you ever played around with the difficulties in that game, Frostroll, but I definitely did. And this was before the patch where you could change the difficulty sliders independently for enemies and yourself. But basically what it would do is it would be like a 6 times damage increase for the enemies on the hardest difficulty, and it's 6 times reduction to your damage. Just like if you had the original Oblivion slider, but it was like instead of being able to slide it, you only had 5 settings. So you either had way too easy to play the game on very easy, way too easy to play the game on easy. Normal was still easier than regular Oblivion because they changed enemy damage and everything, every enemy health and all this stuff. So that actually was an easier game. And then from there onwards, you have impossible to play the game and impossible to play the game because enemies just you cannot damage them and they kill you immediately. And it's kind of ridiculous. All right. So that's difficulty sliders. That's kind of like what they're all about. Which I wouldn't say they're the most effective way. Although it's not really that much different for regular games that just have like an option. Like you can play the normal difficulty. Like for example, Halo, you can play I think that also was just damage increase. Although, I'm probably misremembering that. It's been a long time since I played Halo. Okay. Seven. Yes, okay. So for this, I'm gonna do... Ugh. Yeah, okay. Like it's fine that you're advocating for Baldur's Gate 3. So I know this will make me sound like a broken record, but Baldur's Gate 3 has a decent difficulty system. Yeah, I bet it does. And it's not like I don't like I hate Baldur's Gate 3, which, it might not sound like I like it, but I don't hate it. I haven't played the game yet. And I bet it does have a decent difficulty system. Can you like explain the difficulty system? Because I have no idea. Is it like does it give you like bonus to your rolls or something? Okay. All right. And then want to do this. Or it'll be like so. Then on the opposite side of the spectrum from difficulty sliders, there are games that don't have any difficulty settings. Ouch. One of those, of course, is not Daggerfall, Dark Souls. Which, is regarded for its difficulty. And, it is a little bit helpful that everyone plays on the same... That looks bad. Easiest and normal are on course. Of course, quite difficult. Quite easy. Yeah. Easiest and normal are of course quite easy. Tactician gives some bosses legendary resistances and legendary actions they wouldn't normally have. Honor mode gives you one save on top of that. It's also permadeath. permadeath. I don't really like permadeath, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I don't even like hardcore Minecraft, you know? Because just the idea of losing all of your progress from one bad situation, I feel like it would suck so much. I think I messed up on this. I think it's supposed to be like a block higher. Or it should be. But like, I don't know, some people really like permadeath. Like, that's the only way they can play the game. So, what was it? Legendary actions. I'm trying to remember what those are. It's been a while. Aren't those like, you act outside of turn order? Something like that? Let's make a shovel. So games that don't have difficulty settings. Sometimes they're just like perfectly balanced, you know? You don't even need it. You have a permadeath save in No Man's Sky, but that was just to get some achievements. I don't think I've reloaded that save in months. It's too stressful. Yeah. Yeah, that's true too. Like, combat would be so stressful. I feel like I'd choke whenever it gets bad. Okay. Let's start with the bottom one. Ouch. Games without difficulty sliders, you know, one of those, of course there's Dark Souls, right? I think I already mentioned that. And then there's, legendary actions make bosses more reactive to certain scenarios. Killing an owlbear's mate would make the other rage and deal more damage. Oh, okay. I think that's a 5th edition thing. I don't remember that in 4th edition, so... Or maybe it wasn't 4th edition. It's been a while since I played D&D. So yeah, that's kind of cool. Why did I write down to... Okay. I'm minimizing that. I wrote down something stupid and I just baffled myself in retrospect. Alright. Games without difficulty sliders. I'm trying to think of one right now that isn't Dark Souls. One that's badly optimized for what it is. We can kind of like compare what, like, some things that work and some things that don't. For example, I've really, like, I don't know, I'm fried today. I think it's the salad. The salad got on me. The day old dry cheese. Make my brain juices unable to flow. Okay, so that's the bottom. Is it because it's not... I think it's because those aren't tall enough. That's probably it. So a game that doesn't work without a difficulty slider. Pickle brain, yeah. Yeah, I've been pickled. Okay, so this goes 3 tall. I've also, like, today I've been just, like, mindlessly playing. Oops, I didn't reach the bucket. I was mindlessly playing Elden Ring earlier today. Just, you know, relaxing, getting some drops. I've gotten decently good at fighting those knights. Like the Lordsworn knights. Ones with, like, the swords, Banished knights, that's what they're called. Wait, what? Oh. Hmm? What did I do? I need to do one more? No, that's not right. It's too tall. Okay. He needs to go down 1. Yeah, I just, it's not coming to me. I was gonna talk about this, I was gonna have a big old spiel, and, you know, never mind. Let me go just get some food. Probably need to shear the sheep. Particularly scatterbrained today. Okay. I'd say, difficulty-wise, I've been also, like... That is so wonky. Mutton. Not yet. I gotta get more wool. Then we shall harvest the herd. I need to break that. A game that doesn't have good difficulty balance would be, and this is like a, you know, kind of like a specific to me game. I don't think you probably played it. Is Spyro and the Eternal Night. That game, it was ridiculous. Let's just say that. Basically, every enemy, and this is a beat 'em up game, where, like, you're fighting enemies for, like, literally the entire game. That looks better. Every enemy would take about 20 hits to kill. And in order to progress the game, you have to sit there and wail on enemies for literally, like, it feels like hours. And it's actually so annoying whenever games do that. Because it's like, why? Nobody wants to sit there tapping, like, the A button or whatever for, like, 20 hours straight. And that's the only gameplay. This is kind of the case with Batman Arkham, you know, but Batman Arkham kind of switches it up with like you know, there's like a combat flow mechanic where you have to time it properly, and you can like get special abilities if you have like a combat flow going, like if you have like, what was it, upgraded, you have like 3 perfect strikes, and then you can pick someone up and throw them and knock out a bunch of dudes at once. Or like jump in the air and throw a lot of batarangs to knock everyone out. Alright, dirt's starting to go. Should probably start growing on everyone. And difficult just for the sake of being difficult is such a drag and a turn off. Yeah. Yeah, games that drag, right? And felt that way about Lords of the Fallen. Yeah, that was a Souls-like, right? Oh yeah, I remember, because I played a little bit of it, and what was bad about Lords of the Fallen was that that game, yeah, that game, what it does is it drops you into a Souls-like world, and then it throws you into battles, like constant boss battles with enemies that have like 5 times your health. And because like the world wasn't that like the worlds weren't that long, like the levels, so you'd pretty much get to the boss almost immediately. And so it just end up basically like like an Elden Ring boss rush, but you don't have any of the other mobs, so it's just bosses. Coarse dirt. I'm running out of coarse dirt, which is a little upsetting. I'll need to go harvest some gravel. I'm feeling like going a little longer today, just to get some stuff built. Because I'm not gonna. The plan is to not build stuff while off stream. Of course you are. Yeah. Well. Here's some lava. Oh, hear that? Lava. Well, that's quite close. Alright, that's useful to know. I don't know why I didn't hear that before. Alright, let's harvest this patch of gravel here. It'll take a second. Okay. And so yeah, back on the topic about difficulty of video games. Craft gravel with cobblestone. I mean, I don't think you can, right? No. That'd be a cool thing though, or if you could put on like a grindstone or something, grind it down to gravel. I feel like that would be in a mod. I don't know if it's a mod in Minecraft or not. That'd be a good, yeah, a mod would, yeah. Oh, I don't know if I want to get a bunch of gameplay changing mods. just like, you know, quality of life things like that. Like if that were the case, I would have already gotten like, you know, the classic, that mod that lets you smelt gravel is just smashed stone. Yeah. Tinker. That was the mod that added a bunch of tools, right? And you could like level them up. Or like you can make like a what was it? Make a gravel pickaxe, but it was like a flint pickaxe or something like that. All right. I forgot what I was gonna say about difficulty now. Probably harvest the field too. I'll do it later. Yeah, and it added a variety of tables, such as a sifting table. Yeah. Better not be taking my house dirt. Alright. That's 4 more stacks. What? Oh. Oh. Okay, coarse dirt. Alright. You know, it used to be in old games, like, back in the NES era, that they would make games a lot more difficult just to pad the amount of time that you play it. I think it was like a carryover from the arcade games. But it would be like, you know, you could play through, any person could play through level 1 and 2, but then when you got to the 3rd level, it would ramp up the difficulty so much that it would be basically impossible. You need to do it like, yeah, Space Invader. You need perfect input, you need frame perfect inputs. Tongue-tied. And, yeah. And there's a couple games that are similar to that, mostly like rhythm games, actually, are some of the most difficult games I've ever played in my life. And, you know, you'd think they'd have no right to be. Like, you're a music game, what are you doing being harder than Dark Souls over here? And you know, Dark Souls isn't even a hard game, like, realistically. Like, once you get a little bit used to it, you know, any situation can be escaped. Like, you could get through anything in that game. If your build is, you know, versatile. Yep, big stick, go bonk. Yep. Level nothing but strength. Alright, I'm gonna put in a couple more pillars, and we'll probably call it a day. And I was thinking about how Souls games aren't that difficult today, while I was just like, I was farming those armor sets in Elden Ring. And it's like, you know, it can be difficult because, like, it kind of requires twitch reflexes, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you know, obviously you lose those eventually. And you know, that's definitely something I've seen talk online about older gamers. In Elden Ring, I mostly leveled endurance for a stamina build. Yeah, stamina build. And then you got like the strongest shields, and you just block everything. Souls-like rewards patience and pattern recognition. I've always felt that rhythm games are like PvP, rewarding Twitch reactions. I'm too old for that crap. Yeah, that's what I was just about to talk about. It's like some people literally don't have the reaction time to play these games. And see, like that's where the difficulty kind of comes from, is the Twitch reaction. But like when you know what to do, you ran with a bow and dagger and it worked. It just works. Jeez. Yeah, bow and dagger, huh? Bow and dagger? What, were you like relying on riposts? Or what was the plan there? Bow and dagger. What would you like use the bow Ash of War, and then when they get staggered, you'd go up and stab them? Almost out of coarse dirt. Okay. Wait, how much is this? 6. All right. And so it's like really the main difficulty of Dark Souls for me though is like the unknown, right? Bow for distance. When I ran out of arrows, the bleed on my dagger did the rest. Yeah, you got like Reduvia going on. Yeah. I'm gonna be honest. I learned how to use a straight sword in Dark Souls 1, and I kind of never went back. That's like my favorite weapon type, is just straight swords. 90% of the fights was dodge rolling. Yeah, he just panic rolling. %90 of the fights was relying on your summons. That's what I feel like sometimes in Elden Ring. It's like, man, I can't get through this on my own. All right. That's a decent amount of progress right there. Really used up all the gravel. And so it's like that's kind of how it is all the time though, because like, have you ever watched people play Dark Souls for the first time and really like they're not bad at the game, it's just that they don't understand basic things sometimes. Like I watched there was this guy I watched who missed the tutorial for light attacks, and so he only used heavy attacks the entire game. And they like never use the right bumper. It's kind of ridiculous. But I mean, hey, you got through the game. You died a couple times, but wasn't all that bad. Yeah. I've only really played Dark Souls 1, Elden Ring, and like half of Dark Souls 2. I kind of stopped at Dark Souls 2 because I don't know. When I was playing these games, I played them all in order. I started with Elden Ring, and then went to Dark Souls 1. Which, by the way, Dark Souls 1 is absolutely like the easiest in the game in the series. I don't understand how some people find it more difficult than the other games. I guess because it's like slower. I don't know, it makes it easier for me. All right. Let's see, potato. Yeah, okay. And we're gonna have our first batch of potatoes to eat. That's perfect. Which I think they're the same as bread. So, not actually an upgrade, but what can you do? So yeah. Of course, I fall into the same thing that I was talking about the other day, where like I can't just like play the game and then come, or like set it down and come back to it. Diet diversity, yeah. Gotta get our nutrients, omega-3s. All right. I think that's pretty much all I wanted to yap about today. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I harped on role-playing games a little bit too long. A bit off my game today. Like I said, I don't know. I'm feeling a bit off today. Just something weird going on. Maybe I got a sinus infection or something coming on. That's kind of what it's like. Get to the root of your diet. Yeah, the root. If only I had rooted dirt, I'd be able to add more. Okay, so I got a plan for next stream. Let me go fill in that wall back there. Got a plan for next stream because, you know, I feel like I gotta spice up this series a little bit, you know? And so I've been workshopping this idea for a little while. How to make it more interesting. And I was looking on CurseForge earlier for these mods that I've installed, and I saw something a bit nostalgic. You know, at least it's nostalgic for me. And that, of course, was Lucky Blocks. So I thought I'd make it sort of like a challenge kind of thing, where next stream, at the beginning of the stream, you guys will get to decide a couple of words that if I say them, I have to open a very unlucky block. Which of course I'll cheat in like this. Just cheat one in. Oh, I can't. Okay, well, I'll figure out how to cheat them in. But yeah, that's the idea. And, you know, kind of make it like a game that we'll play. I'll try and explain whatever topics I have without saying the magic words that you guys decided that day. And we'll spice it up with variations on that, of course. But yeah, and I thought that'd be nice to start that next stream, because of course I gotta go get cactus for green wool and green glass for my dirt house. So, and would be mean, yeah, and so would be you know, or Of course, if I end up saying these words and you guys, I don't catch myself, you guys gotta hold me to it. All right. Of course, I do want to be. I'll say this. I won't do it next to my base. You know, I won't break it next to my base because I've seen what these things can do. It's nasty. If I get an unlucky well, this entire thing could be completely gone. And I'd have to start over. And I don't know if you guys would want to watch me build this again. So, but you know, I thought that would be a fresh idea. And look at this, the grass is already growing. Yeah. So obviously off stream I'll collect a few more things, a few more ingredients for this concoction of a build we're making. And yeah, next stream we're going to be adventuring, trying to find a desert with some cactus. Yeah. And we're about at 2 hours now, so you know, I guess I'll cut it off for tonight at this point. Got a decent amount of food going. Let's shear the sheep. Yeah, good stream, thank you. I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I was kind of off today. I was complaining. I guess I'm in a complaining mood. Try to fix that next stream. I don't want it to be just like a, you know, a hateful speech. You know, spiteful, angry simplistic hours. Try and keep it more constructive, you know. Cheer the Sheep, that was the name of your garage band in high school. Sick. Was it like what genre of music was it? Was it like a grunge? I'll ban sand so you can't Anakin. Or Anakin. I hate sand. It gets everywhere. Alright. Absolutely grungy, yes. Yes, grunge. That'll be tough to not be able to say sand. Alright, well, that's gonna be all for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been Minecraft Rambling, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.